And WB. This is Building the Dream. So I have been working on this hiatus where I haven't been making episodes really. I did take a little break. I didn't necessarily need to, but what I've been able to do in that time is work on the story a lot. And so I have a good idea of what I want the players to understand at certain points and what most of the other areas are going to be. So I think I think it was two or three more of the CTM areas, and then it goes through some different events in the town that I'll have to figure out how to implement those. But what I do want to show is what I've done with the town in the stoop area, and I think I did some stuff in intersection 1. But another thing that I want to mention is that I created a Discord server. So if you want to become involved in the project more directly and even contribute some building, I would very much appreciate that. And any ideas, that's probably a good way of talking about them. And so the link will be in the description. But here I've kind of laid out the town, what I want it to be like, and I've made some buildings that I'm going to copy. And so I'll probably switch over to MC Edit so I can put these. See, like this birch building is going to go into these different slots, and then I'll rough it up so that it fits into this region a little bit more. And so you see that is the template, and that one I've messed with the roof a little. And this, okay, over here is the crash site, and I think I want the players to start over here as if they are exiting here. And originally I was going with what would be, they would wake up in the town, but I don't know if there would be a reason to come back to here, because they wouldn't really have anything invested in here. There wouldn't be any treasure, and it would just be a set piece that you'd never find. And I like the idea of them starting in here, where after they crash land, they are here, they get teleported and appear here, and then they have to climb their way out. And I need to decide how I can lure them over this hill. Normally, if you enter a new place, I like to get a good lay of the land, and so I look around and I get to a high place so I can see more. And I would imagine this is an enticing place to do that, because it's a hilltop that's fairly close, and you wonder what's over on the other side. Well, that one looks like it just goes down. And so I think this would be the first one they would decide to go to, but I still think there's a better way of luring them up here, at which point they'll be presented with the town. And I want them to make it to this. This is what I was deciding the hospital to be like. There's a little reception area and a waiting, and then a couple of rooms. This one has a curtain in the middle, and then this one's kind of on its own. I'm gonna put some beds and stuff in here, but I wanted to start recording before I actually finished everything. But I want them to end up in here, so I haven't quite decided how to get them here. The original plan was to have them wake up in there, and then they would come out here, and that's how they would experience the town in the first place. But I want them to start with the ship, and so perhaps there's some way of getting them to the hospital, like after some sort of trigger where I know that they've seen this town, then I can have them faint, and then I'll wake up there again. That's an option. But that's what the inside of this building looks like, and I think it's going to be the only one of its kind, whereas I'll copy these ones to kind of flesh out the little town. This is what I was thinking of as the kind of city hall. It's a town hall, but it is somewhere that a leader would stay. It has a little meeting room, and there's a kitchen down here, and then there's a single bedroom in here as well. And I've been playing around with a lot of different layers. See how that one goes down and this one goes up? It doesn't need to, but it just makes for more interesting builds, I find. And see how this slightly slopes down and it's built into the hill, where the fence kind of follows some flatter spots, but it still manages to wrap around. And then I added the leaves on the outside because that, I feel like that adds a whole lot of spice to the build itself. If it's actually just an empty wall, then it's not very interesting if it's just flat. This has a cut in the corner. This has a fence in front of it. It has the leaves that kind of break up the transition between the ground and the wall itself. And then you see this. I put it in here as a smoke stain because this is supposed to be some sort of smoke. What is it? Chimney. And down there is the kitchen, and that's the fume hood that goes over your oven and stuff, stove. And then there's some smoke that I made out of glass. And so then I copied it over here because there's also a kitchen in there. I'll show you in there in a second. But in order to break up the monotony, I like putting leaves and decorations. And then I did the same with the roof. This is a stair, but this is a slab, and so you get this kind of quarter block that is a little texture change. And so now the roof itself is a little bit more interesting because the rooms inside of it are not on the same level. And then this is one of the townhomes. I again went with different layers. This, you can see how this is a rectangle, but then it has this little extra square tacked onto it. And then the pillars mean that the roofs don't all match up in the same place. It just means it's more interesting. Front door here. And then this is kind of a little kitchen area, and that's where it goes up to the chimney. And I put some decoration areas, even though it's not completely filled. And the rooms themselves. This has a wall that's all stained. And then this balcony I think is really nice, and it allows you a good vantage point. I don't remember if I've showed that yet. If I haven't, then it's a little sawmill, a stack of logs, and it's cutting one with a saw. Oh yeah, and this is something I noticed. That looks like a deer or an elk with its antlers. It was not intentional, but I think that looks good. And so let's go to this last type house. So I was going for birch being a more wealthy houses, and then these are a little bit more run down, where they could only really afford one room, and I'm just going to put some standard living necessities in it. That's it. But see, even they benefit from having these bushes out here. And when I copy in this one, I'm going to put it in these various places. Oh, is that the right? I might have turned that, and so this direction is now this direction. Might have to mess with that, but then I'll rough up the roof and then change the bushes a little and maybe move a window just so everything's not the same. And then after that is when I'll have to go through and fill it in, all the treasure in by hand, where it's worth it to go exploring. But then all these paths, there's this little park, and this one leads down to the beach where there's going to be a little dock. I'm probably not going to build a big ship. It's not entirely important to the linear style of the story, where you go from the ship to the town and then up to the mountain, which is another thing that I'm going to work on in MC Edit. But this dock is going to be here, and it's just a place to work on the lore of the town itself, where I want it to feel alive. And let me show you one other thing. In intersection 1, I fixed this entry place. So you have this teleport back, and when you're done with the stoop area, then it's going to teleport you back to the intersection so that you can, it acts as the CTM hub, so you're able to give the relic to the Eyeball Guardian, and then you can still access the other areas. If you set up a farm, this is a good place. And I'm currently deciding whether or not I want to start the player in the hub or in the challenge area, because if you start in the challenge, then all of the stuff that you have is the current inventory that you had when you first left this area to go to the town. But if you come back to the hub, then it'll let you regroup before deciding on your own to progress into the challenge. And so I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. But this little section was cloned in from from the spawn workstation. This place. This was cloned in, and so this is just a normal wall, and it has bedrock as a layer so that you can't just mine through it. Because if possible, I don't want to include any speedrun strats where if you know the block, you can just mine to it. I'd rather keep it so if you want to do this quickly, you still have to go experience some of the areas that I spend time on. So I think in order to progress with the building, we'll just move on to MC Edit. Alright, so let's check what this looks like now. Let's go way up. Okay, yeah, overall I like this. I'm going to spend a little bit more time getting each of the houses to look unique. And then I might, that might be the end of the episode. Alright, I'm pretty happy with this. I pushed the gravel in so that it wouldn't get in the way. I filled in the pond here and just straightened out the ground on some of the various areas. I made sure the doors opened in various different ways for the houses, and a lot of them don't have floors still, just because I didn't copy that. But these two, you see, they're mirrored, but I don't think it distracts from the feeling in the town. I made all the smoke go same direction-ish, and this is one feeling that I wanted to preserve: the alleyways in between these tall houses. This is a place to go, and I think it's pretty interesting, and so I wanted to make sure that I kept that. Here we go. Break some off. So I think this is all the time I have left for this episode, but I think we made some good progress. And this is going to become a square, and then I can start in with the actual mine of how you progress into the objective. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.